If I've learned anything from being in the Boy Scouts, it's that the Pinewood Derby is a scam because other people's dads are building their cars for them. And to always be prepared. So today is going to be a very comprehensive guitar lesson about everything, almost everything that you could do in the people's key, the key of G, starting with just these 6 notes. Okay? So we're going to go through just a bunch of like chord theory and stuff today. But we have to know what these notes are. Alright? So they're the 6 main chords that populate the key of G major. We've talked about this in a bunch of other videos. It's really G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. We might even get to F sharp half diminished back to G. But I think there's a lot of value in seeing it from a fretted position instead of just open chords, and then thinking of the notes right here. Just 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. So G, A, B, C, D, E. So let's get to it. All right. Basically, we have the first 6 notes in the people's key, the key of G. Again, there are 7 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the octave, 8th note is the first note again, a pitch higher. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And any one of those single notes become a chord. All right. So in any key, the first, 4th, and 5th notes become major chords. So that's why G major, G, A, B, C, C major, and then 5 would be D, D major. Sound good? If you want to do like a bar chord version of that, it would look like G major, C major, D major. We'll talk more about these in a second. And then the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th notes become minor chords in any key. So in the key of G, G, A minor, 3 is B, B minor, and 6 is E, E minor. Okay? So we're just going to go through a bunch of cool stuff that I use in my own playing that maybe will open up just some kind of different avenues. So if we were to just take regular major and minor triads, sometimes people use these as bar chords. Starting on the G, A, B, C, D, and E, like this, we could make a chord scale that looks like this. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, and E minor. Okay, so they're bar chords, which can be more difficult for beginners, but they're maybe a little more easy. They're a little easier to conceptualize because they're only triads, they're only 3 notes at a time, right? So real quick, let's go over the shapes, lightning speed. Here's the major chord. I'm just barring the 3rd fret, and then I have 5A, 5D, and 4G. Then for the minor chords, it's the same shape except I lift my middle finger up, so it's 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5. Same for B minor. And then the major chords on the A string are 3, 5, 5, 5. Optionally, you can get that high E string 3rd fret if you want. Same thing with D major. And then for the minor chord rooted on the A string, we have the major chord down a string. Okay? But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn these into extended chords. So instead of playing a chord scale like this, which is difficult because these are actually kind of like the most difficult bar chord shapes that are really hard to get under your fingers with a lot of power, we're actually going to do them in a more advanced way that is actually easier. So we're going to do this by looking at the chords like this. Okay? So I'm going to go through all these individually, but we're going to have a G major 7, an A minor 11, a B minor 11, a C major 7, D7, and E minor 9. Okay? So if you know those, the best thing to do is to really just think of root notes 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, and be able to do it with either your ring finger or your pointer finger, because we're going to branch off of each one of these notes. But before we get to that, I'm going to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Transcribe. All right, the best way to talk about any kind of app is to do it in context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to airdrop a track that I recorded onto my phone. So as soon as it goes to my phone, it's going to ask me where I want to open it. I'm going to open up the track in Transcribe Plus. And what it does is it allows me to see this entire track. Right, there's the waveform. Any kind of wave file or anything that you have in your Apple Music library will come into this. And it's like, all right, cool. It's just, there's the song, like, great, whatever. But you can use this as a trainer to slow the song down or change the pitch. If you want to slow it down, you just go left and right on the bar here. Speed it up. Go right. And then again, it does a lot of different stuff like that. So it's going to have a 45-second limit for the free stuff. But the incredible thing about this is you can actually take the track and then break it up into just like different parts. I can isolate the vocals, bass, drums, and instrumentals, and then just click on that, and then it'll give me 4 stems, essentially, from what is in the song. So if I want to play along to something, but I don't want the lead guitar part out, I can just take it out, and then I'll just have the drums and bass. And like, it's amazing how good this works, because again, this is a track that I recorded myself with everything. So here's an example. I can play it from the beginning, and then I'm gonna mute the instrumentals, and I just have the drums and bass. Or I can mute the bass, and now I just have just the drum track, and I can play along to that. And another really cool feature, if you want to use it just as a trainer, you can take a loop and you can set it to get 10% faster every time through the loop. So again, super great tool that you might be interested in. So like I said, it's free for like a 45-second trial, and then you can upgrade the purchase an amp if you want to make like full tracks and stuff like that. But again, really incredible technology. I have no idea how it works, but thank you, Transcribe Plus. Back to the lesson. All right, so now that we have that down, let's go through some of these different chord voicings. G major 7. Probably my favorite major 7 chord voicing looks like this. All right, so again, we're branching off from this 1 fret. There's our G, and then we're taking what is essentially an A minor shape right here. In fact, if you know the B minor chord, like this, 2A, 4D, 4G, 3B, and then you just diagonally go here to the G, so now it's 3E, skip the A string, 4, 4D, and G, 3B, we get G major 7, okay? Now the beautiful thing about all this is it's movable, so even though this is just in the key of G, we can do the same thing in the key of G sharp, or A major, or B flat, or B, or C. So all of this stuff is going to be movable, but I want to talk about how it relates to other notes and chords in this key, because that's going to make more sense in context if you're playing a song, right? It's one thing just to remember a bunch of different chord voicings, but you want them to be in a way that makes sense, making chord progressions, okay? So there's G major 7, and we're going to run this right into the 2 chord and the 3 chord, which is going to be a minor 11 shape. My all-time favorite minor chord voicing is minor 11. It's easier and it sounds better. So we're actually going to use our middle finger to get that A on the low E string. So it's 5 on the A string, skip the 5 on the E string, skip the A string again. 5 and 5 on D and G. In fact, you could just cut it right there, and that's an A minor 7. A minor 7. We'll learn how to talk again today. And then your pointer finger can grab that 3rd fret on the B string. That's what gives it that minor 11 sound. All right, really a huge fan of that. And then you can just slide that down 2 frets to get B minor 11. So this is the 1 chord to the 2 chord to the 3 chord, as compared to the 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, and what's like an open position, or 1, 2, 3 in a closed voice triad position, which is what these are. So G major 7, the 1 major 7 chord, to the 2 minor 11 chord, to the 3 minor 11 chord. And that's how musicians will talk to each other a lot. Instead of being like, oh, this is in a key that starts on the 3rd fret, and then I'm going to that B and making it minor. It's like, no, we're just in the key of G. That's a 3 minor 11 chord. Boom. Got it. We could already make a song with this. Just let's do a 1, 3, 2 in G, or a 1 major 7, 3 minor 11, 2 minor 11 in the key of G. There's the 1, 3, 2. And especially when you have this 2 and the 3 chord right next to each other, because this is the same shape, it stands to reason that all the single notes that are within these chords are going to fit together. In fact, if I just look at these, that minor 7 chord voicing, we can make a little scale out of this. 5, 7, D string, 5, 7, G string, 5, 7. So, right? That has just been gleaned from learning chord voicing, so we can kind of like... Right, so I'm kind of soloing, but really that's, over the place of where those chords would go, right? So that's just one way that we can extend the 1, 2, and 3 chord. Now let's venture on into the A string rooted chords. C, major 7. Another one of my all-time favorite ones, probably my actual all-time favorite one, just because it's on the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, G, A, B, C. Again, open C major 7 would look like this. 3, 3, 2, open, open, open. And then closed voice C major 7 looks like this. 3, A, 5, D, 4, G, 5, B. And then optionally that high E string 5th fret. Which, now you know this chord voicing, so no matter what transcribe tells you to play, you can just move this all over the place to find the right root note, and then just add that to it, right? So, this is going to be a 1 chord to a 4 chord, and it's so much prettier. Just G major 7 to C major 7. Just 1 to 4, instead of G, C, G. Nothing wrong with these, but it's a different speed. To the 3 chord, to the 2 chord, 1, 4, 1, 4. And then a little riff from those 2 and 3 chords being next to each other. All right, so let's go to something for the 5 chord. The most obvious extended way to play the 5 chord would be as a dominant 7 chord. That's what the 5 chord is. That's what's really special about that 5th position, G, A, B, C, D. You might see D7 a lot. In fact, 95% of the time when you see a D7 chord, that means you're actually in the key of G, right? So the way we can do it here is rooting on that D on the A string, 5th fret, and going 5, 7, 5, 7. So you kind of have to bar this one. Or, another one of my favorite ones is this one right here. This like dominant 9 chord, which is still kind of a bar chord, but not really. So we've got 2 options. And that's why it's about being prepared for this lesson, because we can have multiple options for just different root notes. So it's really just kind of seeing all the possibilities and then just learning maybe one thing at a time. Maybe the only thing you take from this video is learning this chord voicing where it's 5 on the A string, 4 on the D string, and then I've got 5, 5, 5 all the way down. Or that other traditional D7 chord. 5 chord, 1, 5, 1. And I know, so what I did right there, I added my pinky to the 7th fret. Because remember, we did the notes on the E string in this key, just 3, 5, 7, and the high E string are the same available notes as the low E string. They're the same notes, they're just a higher pitch, right? So we do that in and just add them to your leisure and your heart's content, right? So that's our 5 dominant 9 chord, and then we're gonna go to this E minor. Ooh, I love this one. This is a great one. So usually it would be E minor triad. But this one right here, we're gonna root on the E on the A string, middle finger. Your pinky and your ring finger are gonna grab the 7th fret on the G and B strings, and then your pointer finger is gonna grab the minor 3rd on that D string right there. One really cool thing about this chord, anytime your middle finger is rooting on a chord, I think it's like a really cool thing to just go a string lower to get what is essentially the 5th of that chord. So E, B, E, B. And you can do that with any of these A string chords. So you just kind of like jumping back and forth. Again, it's just being prepared and having options. But again, this is going to be the 6th chord. So now our new chord scale is going to be G major 7, A minor 11, B minor 11, C major 7, D dominant, and then E minor 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And especially that 5 chord and that 6 chord like that, they're really similar. You just have to extend the distance between your pointer finger and the rest of your shape. So those really work well together, especially in a 6-5-4 context. So there's a little chord progression we can do here. 6, 5, 4. So we're just descending 3 chords at a time. And then if we want something that sounds kind of like that, let's go 3, 2, 1. 2, 1, 2, riff, 3, 2, 1, 5, 1. Anytime you want to end something, just go to the 5 and bring it on home to 1. So there are infinite amounts of direction that you can actually go from here. One other kind of quick tip as far as changing the class of the chord that is something that's kind of common, I like to do a lot too, is taking that 3 chord and turning it from a minor 11 chord or just a minor class chord into a major 3 chord. So one thing we could do is maybe let's take that dominant 7 chord, which like I said usually is only on that D. The second most common, the secondary dominant spot for this would be taking that 3rd chord and turning that into a dominant 7 chord, okay? So the voicing we have for this, instead of B minor 11, we've got B7, 7E, 6A, 7D, 8G. So now we're kind of adding something that's actually outside of this key technically, but usually sounds really good, all right? In fact, let's go from a 1 to a dominant 3, a secondary dominant, 3 major chord, however you want to look at that. And then we're going to go 6, 4. 1, 3, 6, 4. First we'll do it triad form, right? 1, 3, 6, 4. Sounds great, but now let's extend it. 1, 3, 6, 4. How much different does that sound? Then let's connect the dots. So what I mean by that is 1, 2, 3, 6, 5, 4. With that riff that we learned from those chords. Five, 1. With a little arpeggio at the end. If you want to learn some sick arpeggios like that, sign up for my Patreon. But yeah, basically all that has come from just knowing 6 individual notes and then how to turn them into different chords, whether they're just major or minor or major 7, different types of minor 11 chords, dominant 9, minor 9, then adding some spice. And it's all coming from right here, just kind of like the meat of like the inner part of that neck. So anyways, I think that's a really valuable lesson to kind of just take it and then just take it from there. The next step that you might want to do is maybe like look at some different arpeggios of the chords starting off of that root note. So again, you know, sign up for the Patreon or just check out more videos on my channel for stuff like that. Thank you to the sponsor of this video, Transcribe, really cool app, some really high tech. Really excited about adding some high-tech companies to the roster because, again, we're at the forefront of technology over here on the SG channel. But thank you again for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks.